Dylan, how are you?
Hi. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from Erie, actually. So are you in Erie? Because I know
Yeah,
you
I'm
posted
in
on
here.
Radius.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm originally from here. I uh grew up in Mill Creek and moved away for college and then grad school, lived in New York for a little bit, and then came back here during the pandemic.
Awesome. Well, not awesome, but awesome you're back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why is this guy not on?
Are you a Radius member?
Yeah, yeah, I joined when we moved back here.
Awesome. Is that how you heard about the office hours
Yeah, you posted on there.
in the Slack?
Yeah, and I thought I'd come check it out. There we go.
Well, this is the first one. There's 8 registered, and it's really office open hours. So I was going to give it maybe like another minute to see if some
Yeah,
other folks chime in. And I have, a couple of factoids or things to start conversation. But if you have a particular ask or something you're challenged with right now as regards to marketing, I'd love to be able to see if I can help bring some clarity to it.
sure. Cool.
Yeah, so we'll just give it another, second, minute or two
Yeah, sounds good.
and see what.
Um, I have another meeting at 1:30. Or not 1:30, at 2.
To.
I'm going to push back if I can or need to.
Oh, okay,
But just letting you know. So
sure.
mm,
I was just looking up since we have a say. I was looking up. It's Centrix. Is that how you say it?
yeah. So that's my so I have I have a lot of hats that I wear. So Centrix is my day job. It's what I get paid for mostly. Um, I'm the CTO of that company. It's a small startup. We're not great at marketing there at the moment. We have a marketing firm we actually just hired to like do a whole brand persona kind of thing for us. And we're moving through like the different stages of that with them. Um, so I didn't think that if I'm the only one on this call, then I'd be happy to like walk you through what we're going through there. But that's one hat. The other thing that I have a bunch of, not a bunch, I have a couple of side projects, one of which I'm the most curious about this for, which is a point of sale system and like logistics operations platform that I'm trying to get finished for the EDDC and all of the restaurants in like the food hall and down here inside the Erie Downtown Partnership Zone. Um, and so if I get that finished and actually into like beta anytime soon here, then when we start rolling it out, there will necessarily need to be a lot of marketing to get um, one to get companies using it, and then two to get or no, you get like restaurants using it, and then get people aware of it to switch to it instead of Grubhub or DoorDash or whatever. So
So is it part of the delivery part of it?
yeah, I mean, so the system originated as part of a previous job that I had where I built uh, basically just like infrastructure, digital infrastructure for a restaurant business that I was a part of. And it spanned the entire gambit of like user-facing app that takes orders and delivers them to a kitchen and then has like a kitchen display system so that the line cooks can like, interact with it, and we communicate the like status of your order back to the customer. Was a delivery app that our couriers use to know where to take, like, know what orders are available, assign them to themselves, pick up the order, take it to um the final destination and whatnot. So I had all this software that I actually um, took with me when I left that company. And it had been sitting on a shelf, and I was just in my free time, I'm slowly like updating it, modernizing it. And the big push has been to like I have to make it where it was tailored for like one company and like one business. I have to like make it something that multiple businesses can use all at once. So
White
that was
label
like
it essentially.
yeah, yeah. Um, so it's so that's been my like the thing that I've been trying to um work on in my my free time. So I have some marketing ideas for it, but I'm not a professional, and being a quiet nerd, I'm probably wrong
So
about a
you're
lot
the
of it.
tech guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Dylan, it's 1:38. I don't see the seven other coming through. So we can use
Eh,
this time to chat. And I would like to ask you, I am recording it with the intent of putting it on that marketing office hours page of the site so that
okay.
10 of these. So if you're okay with me doing that with whatever, if there's a point where you're like, this is proprietary, let's not talk about this, then you can like give me a cut and I'll cut it out if that's,
Okay.
a thing. So I want to protect you and what you're
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
doing. Does that
Gotcha.
sound
Yeah, then I think the centric stuff is probably not is more sensitive than my side projects would be. Um,
okay?
because just even just talking about the side projects gets it out there as a thing
That's
that
the
people should
thing.
be aware of. So yeah.
Well, why don't I start with how I approach marketing
Yeah.
and um, lead that into what I framed the marketing roadmap. And then that might be a good starting point for you to maybe ask me a question of where you're at or see where your thoughts are. Does that sound
Okay. Yeah, sure.
okay? So I'm gonna do a little screen share. Let me just get this situated. Oh, well, that didn't let me resize it. Hold on. Try that one more time. So just to start it out, just to make sure we're on the same page, like, because I feel like the word marketing is used in so many different ways. I know so many people say they're marketers, but they do cog of the machine, and I like to look at myself as all of the conductor of marketing and advertising and branding. And so when I say what is marketing, it's creating and communicating and delivering the messages to your ideal people in the right markets. And you'll often hear me say targeting the right people with the right message in the right places. And that happens through a variety of different tools. And the approach that I take that with is the scientific method, right? There's an idea, we want to do a thing. Okay, let's figure out a plan. Now we'll create all the assets in whatever channels we're going to execute them. We'll implement them, but I measure them and then we make adjustments. And I often will say that we cannot predict, we are not mind readers. We cannot predict how a human will click. We can put a prediction on how they'll do the click or the call or the whatever the action is we're trying to get them to do. So we have to set a hypothesis and monitor it and make adjustments over time. There's not one quick fix to delivering any kind of individual marketing technique. That all being said, in order to figure out what those things are, I like to use this roadmap. And the very start of it is figuring out what the business goals are, or I love to use travel analogies. So, setting the destination. Where are we trying to go? We're in Erie and we want to get to Orlando, right? And what are the stops along the way to get there? So, the first stop is setting the destination. And this is the key element because I don't know who can make marketing work if we don't know where we're trying to get it to go. Like some of the things you've talked about, you've narrowed the geographic footprint to the start, right? Of maybe just, let's say, for example, downtown Erie and restaurants. I know it could be bigger than that, but we'll say restaurants in Erie. And we want to, again, making a hypothesis or a generic scenario here, we want to get 20 of the 80 restaurants on board with this tool. Now we have some kind of metrics to look at because we'll re-engineer the amount of revenue that potentially could make you to help you figure out how much you should spend on marketing. There's also, you might just have dollars to spend, but we want to make sure it's measurable. From there, we'll talk about the customer journey, and that's the point of getting in front of them. And then what do you want them to do? We can't always presume that just because you give it to them doesn't mean they're going to click and buy or, yep, good and done and purchase it. So we really want to iron out what's the flow to get them unaware or get them from unaware to aware to purchase, and then stay with you, right? And in your case, elevate the tool. Maybe they start with so many pieces of features, but then you up level them to additional features. From there, we really did drill down into the personas or the passengers. So when we've talked about restaurants, what kinds of restaurants, right? Are we talking about the elite rooftop, or are we talking about the walk-in burger joint? And it might be both, but sometimes we have to disseminate who are the ideal folks. Then drilling down into that marketing budget so that then we can figure out what are the best modes of transportation or the right ad campaigns for the channels in which to distribute your campaign or your marketing. Not everything has to be in social, but not everything has to be offline either. So what's the best mix to create an omni-channel campaign so that we hit the right people with the right message to hit your goals? And then we set reporting so that we can track how everything worked. So that's my 50,000 foot view of the journey that I take clients to figure out where are you trying to go, and who are you trying to sell to, so that we can craft not only the right messaging, place you in the right places, but make you confident about what you're spending and on what. So that's my quick factoid for today of just goal setting. And just curious as to your thoughts, and if you have questions in regards to the projects that you were teasing me with before we got started.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this all makes sense to me. I guess like, yeah, I don't have any specific questions, but I get to like map the like I guess my project onto this. The goal would be to get a handful of uh you know I guess like fast casual kind of like the food hall restaurants or coffee shops or something similar onto the platform because those are one, I think kind of the target for like lunchtime kind of situation, which is where I guess that's kind of moving forward to the customer journey. The customer is probably going to be someone who's down here for lunch or someone who's visiting down here for an event of some kind. And since lunchtime is probably the more recurring a customer, then that's kind of the one I think that even like the food hall seems to be focused on, and all of the restaurants down here like Subway and Jimmy John's. Not that those are my target, but they're the ones that seem to thrive down here, and that's very much like a lunchtime kind of situation. So that yeah, so it's those are the I guess target markets. They also have simple or regular operations that can be systematized. Their menus are static or more static, so and there's a flow to how you build each different menu item or whatnot, especially coffee shops, which are I know quite a bit about. The other potential customer is if I can I don't know how if I can get a meeting with them. Waldemir, uh, because I mean that's kind of a closed ecosystem, especially the water park. If they don't allow food inside the water park, so uh, if there is like a delivery person available, then like ordering from your phone to one of the food stands and having it just brought to you, which is I think they already do for some of the
They
cabanas and
have
stuff. They
food in
have
there. There's a grill inside the park, the water park.
right, yeah, yeah,
But
and I think if
you're
you get
saying it would be like an order in advance so you can pick it up, is what the
um,
rule is.
well, yeah, that and the cabanas I think have a waitress or waiter, and they just don't have the app, so like the person has to come up and take your order and then go back. Um, so having the app that you could download that just like is a simple like case study right there. Just you have the like, here's the QR code, download the app, you're, whatever, and in 5 seconds you're making an order. Gets those users on the platform and whatnot. Um, yeah, so the persona is that's more of like is that my like brand persona, or is the persona of the customer?
Of the customer. It's the ideal buyer
Okay.
persona. So the customers wouldn't be buying the app, but Mr. New
Yeah.
would be buying, right? And so then it would be challenging them, the food hall, etc., on how
Yeah.
does your tool replace or add value to or sit with
Hmm.
whatever to things like Clover and
Toast
Square or
and
whatever they're
Square. Yeah.
using, and
And
what are
Shopify.
right, and what are
Yeah.
the advantages, the disadvantages? Because I would presume, okay, so when I look at personas, let me see if I have a thing here. Um, well, I have a worksheet that we can download. I don't have it up on the screen, but sure, it's the demographic, like age and behaviors and things like that. But then
Mhm.
number one part of it is what are their primary challenges? Because your thing, yours, anyone's is awesome, but you can't just make it's awesome. But I'm not saying you are. It's not. It's
Right.
awesome. Buy it. We have to be able to nurture them, to build authority, to build trust, to build likability by capturing and being relatable to their pain. So if
Mhm.
Clover's pain points are A, B, and C, in which then your tool makes better, this is the angle and approach within that messaging. She's like, I get it. ABC make it really hard, and you're wasting XYZ on the like, making the scenario, and then they're gonna be like, they get it. They're not just trying to sell me another thing.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So for that's where I think like just going back to Waldemir, that's a simple one, right? Like they have the waitress coming up, and so if they have an app, I think that's a value add that makes sense to them that they currently don't have at Waldemir. For the food hall, that's a bit trickier because they are all on Toast. I think Tap House and the other Mexican restaurant is also on Toast.
That El Amigo
Um,
down there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The bakery is on Clover, and then the chain restaurants have their own thing. So I would to the pain there is that specifically for lunch, if there's somebody in, say, the major office building that is here, there's just the one that I think everyone knows. Um, if they order from DoorDash or Grubhub, that's easily an hour, so that takes up their lunchtime. So like, so they won't do that for lunch. They would have to leave their desk and come down to the food hall or wherever, country fair, order in person, pick it up, and then take it wherever they want to eat. Maybe eat there or go back to their desk if they're so inclined. Um, to improve the situation, the app would have to come in conjunction with a different delivery paradigm that would enable like 10-minute delivery. So by the time you order, it comes in 10 minutes, and then you still have your lunch hour to enjoy wherever you would spend that time. Um, and by having that short of a turnaround, then it makes sense to use an app to order your lunch. If it takes an hour, you're not going to get on Grubhub to order your lunch, right? So, um, that's outside the purview of my software, because there's like physical personal infrastructure. I'm hoping to build a relationship with like the EDDC and the Erie Downtown Partnership to enable that, just for the downtown partnership area. And by limiting the delivery area to just something like the downtown partnership space, then you can guarantee that kind of delivery time. The number of couriers you would need is smaller. They'd be more concentrated. So you could probably do fewer of them, and it would just make the economics of it a lot better than DoorDash and Grubhub's
Dylan,
drivers
I'm
to do
curious,
right
have
now.
you chatted with like Larry down inside Franco's of this
Oh,
idea?
not in Franco's, no.
Because I'm
No.
thinking about him and I wonder about,
Mhm.
let's use him as the persona, right? So the Larrys
Okay.
of these restaurants. And my gut reaction is this: this is great. It'll increase revenue during the lunch hour.
Yep.
But then here come the challenges. I
Hmm.
only have one cook. Who delivers it? How will I get everybody's order out in 10 minutes if 50 people order at the same time? And
Yep.
so, like, working through those logistics after the fact so that they can utilize
Yeah.
the tool will be another key messaging element to use.
Yeah. So the things there is, one is, if there are no delivery people, order ahead is still awesome, right? Because you get
Yeah.
the order ahead, and then the person can come pick it up when it's ready. Built into the software are various levels of inventory for like everything, so that like even say that you're out of mocha sauce for a coffee shop or whatever, then by removing or limiting that inventory, then all of the things that are affected by that inventory item can be labeled as sold out, so no one can order them. What also I consider to be inventory is staff time, so that the built into it as part of the inventory is how many orders you can take every 15 minutes, and giving the manager of the space of the shop, or uh, the ability to say we can only handle 10 orders in 15 minutes here. Then whenever those 10 orders are exhausted, then the UI of the app says, like something to the effect of like, it's busy here, so your order will be ready within this other, 15-minute window, and it keeps pushing that back as orders keep stacking up. And that'll have this natural limiting effect on the user behavior that would be, oh, this is going to take me a half hour to get an order from here, so let me go to a different restaurant. That would hopefully also be on the app that maybe has less, whatever. So yeah, so all of that was a problem I had to solve for the company originally when I was building this in New York. So that's there, and there is, I have the story to share with them for that.
So, what's your go to market approach or goal then?
Um, yeah, I think the big challenge is the incumbents, for one, to get the shop owners and managers motivated to switch. It would, it costs money to do that. It costs time and training. So even if they're not particularly like early adopters or very tech savvy, that's a hard lift. Um, and I think the approach that I'm trying to take is to make it as piecemeal and like add on, just like making them add-ons that don't have to disrupt anything right away. So if it's just the shop wants to experiment with order ahead, then they keep, the system that they have. They get a screen that shows them like just the orders coming in from this system. we throw the app out there, we get their shop on the platform, let users of the app see that or place order ahead app thing. So there's no delivery people that have to be involved. It's just, one extra screen for them. It is, like orders coming from here and orders coming from here, which isn't great for the staff, but hopefully it's doable. That's currently what Grubhub and DoorDash do to them. So um, it's at least not worse than Grubhub and DoorDash. And it's like a little increment that can uh, like get the foot in the door. And then hopefully by building trust on top of that, then um, uh, we can sell them on the next step of like, well, what if your entire POS system was here? Or what if you added a kiosk in the shop? So that instead of having to come up to your cashier and order, they just went up to the kiosk and put in an order in real time there for you, and then you save time on that. So then kiosk, and then, well, maybe switch your POS because now everything's in one platform, one screen, and everything is, pulled in from there. And then, like in the future, if I integrate with DoorDash, then like the orders come in from DoorDash, it's in the same screen and stuff like that. So,
A couple of thoughts and an idea
mhm.
to like sprinkle when you talked about a kiosk. In
Yep.
Northeast, in that park right across from Skunk and Goat, there's a digital display that I don't know how active it's used, but I know they approach some of my clients to pay for ad space within this
Mm,
digital sign kiosk. Um, so I was envisioning that, and then I've also worked with a company called TSI out of Galion, Ohio, who years ago, like 2 decades ago, created the first like digital ordering in like grocery stores,
mm,
for like the deli where you could go up and like pick your thing and wait. And then they also helped some of the first whiteboards that came in, and then those rolled into digital menus. So I'm taking all of these thoughts together and thinking, how cool would it be if like the downtown partnership could put a kiosk in our park, the Front Row Park, that you can
mm.
see a directory of all the restaurants, maybe reserve a table should you want to go and sit, or use this tool to order it to pick up as you're walking to whatever destination. So a future forward thinking
Yeah.
idea, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, not to get too far off the topic here, but that would be amazing. One other idea that I think would be awesome is at least on iPhones, I know, I don't know about Android. You can range the two phones together. So if you're in like Perry Square or one of the other open spaces here, you instead of ordering to an address, you could say just bring it to my phone, and a courier with another iPhone can like just
Oh,
get
I'm putting
directed
it to you.
direct to your phone instead of an address, so they could find you in the park and say, here's your food.
Oh, that'd be
Um,
cool.
which would be cool for events and stuff like that. But technology like that, or like this kiosk that you're talking about, it actually would change how the architecture of the spaces could be, to have more of like a actual food hall kind of thing, or just like open spaces with a bunch of restaurants around them that all share the same seating area, and have like waiters, waitresses, delivery people bringing you food to them. So we could, if it was a relied upon technology, we could build spaces around that kind of technology. Just, I guess that's kind of what Waldemeer's doing right now, is it's that kind of thing.
Sure.
Like bunch of different little kiosks and stands, and then the seating area is anywhere in Waldemeer. So I mean,
Right. My other thinking was when you said earlier about getting into restaurants to sell the tool and getting customers to get the app.
yep.
Those are two totally different silos of marketing approaches.
Yep.
And have you put any thought into how that would be executed?
A little bit. Would love to get your take on that. The the thing that I'm thinking of, I I'm thinking all the way at the end here of like an ad that would just be like posters around somewhere where that would something that would just like cast aspersions on the incumbents of DoorDash and Grubhub about how much of the, how bad they are for the restaurants around here. So like they take 30% of an order, which is the entire margin for these restaurants. The restaurants make no money on DoorDash or Grubhub orders. So some kind of claim that by using our software, you're helping out these restaurants, you're doing the right thing for local businesses. Um, and then two is the delivery time, like I mentioned before. If you can get it in 10 minutes, then that's a better experience for you as the user because nobody wants their food cold. Grubhub and DoorDash make their drivers make multiple stops, so they're like going out of their way with their food sitting in their car. It gets cold. I've never had a good DoorDash experience ever, even in New York when I was living there. Um, so, um, so yeah, so we can, if by having a smaller delivery area, we can, improve on the experience. And then I think there is a angle of being that it's for the downtown area and the push for like the EDDC and revitalizing downtown to make this an amenity, a special thing that is only for people who are down here, makes it feel like something's happening in downtown and that you can be a part of it by getting this app and by participating in this you know, and being part of the cool club.
Well,
Um,
and that will help spread your reach too, right? Because I don't know if we talked about how big your team is to get the brand awareness out to consumers to so the B2C angle of how
mhm.
how and why and get the app and it's a free download. So that's all expense to get people to download the app.
Yep.
And so to double dip into people who already have the reach, so Emily and Drew and the other advocates
Yeah. Yep.
downtown, that would be a great way to create an advocacy campaign. So we could almost spin it into instead of get the app because then it helps me, not that you would do this, get the app so it helps me sell the tool to all these restaurants. It would be a get the app to help downtown Erie. And maybe if it's a 30% savings or whatever, 30% over here, but let's call it 20% here, maybe 5% or whatever could go towards a thing that
Yep.
goes to downtown. Maybe it's the kiosk in the square, or I don't know, maybe there's a hook that gives back to everybody on top of benefiting the owner of the restaurant. Now we could create an earned media or a public awareness campaign in which then is just earned spread,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah,
so
that
if
makes
we can
sense.
figure out that hook, then it's less cost to push it out hard, right? Because now there's this feel good element to it that could get earned media, meaning the local channels here, the local news coverage, it's tricky to get in. If you're not spending money with them, it's very hard
Yeah.
to get them to bite on something. But if we can make it the feel good with some spend, that would be an interesting way to broaden the reach. And then your B2C or B2B angle is probably going to be a lot of one-to-one relationship building and leave behinds and maybe demo situations or lunch and well, not lunch and learns because they're busy during lunch. So you'd have to, if like the three
Yeah.
o'clock
Yeah.
you're done, let's learn some stuff about how this can make it easier. And so you're gonna have to balance the two because you have to sell while getting the downloads.
Yeah. Um, I need at least one restaurant to be on it first, because then
Right.
there's content at least in the app to show.
Sure.
So I think that's like the first step. And then once there's a menu there, then it's finding customers of that menu. So um
I know
yeah, yeah.
um, there's an app out there. I can't remember the name of it, but all your wellness and spa and therapy and nails and all the things go
Mm.
into this one app. And it sounds
Mind body or
no, I can't remember the name of it now, but
Okay.
You can find the salon, book your appointment, pay a deposit. Some of them I've seen, whether it's nails or hair or massage or whatever. And the hook is, how do people know about that app? And so that's where I can see an advantage for you of putting on this advocacy.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that and just like if they are coming into the restaurant the first time, then it's like the ads are like you could order, like find us on DoorDash kind of like little signs and stuff like that. If there's an event downtown, like I think what they're setting up is maybe it's Rib Fest. I don't know what they're
Oh
setting up
yeah,
in
it's
Perry Square
coming
right
up.
now.
Yeah.
Um having I mean that's a bit of a hard one because those are like new or like travel
Yeah, not local.
rib places coming into downtown, but um when there's an event going on, having the things there of like download this app and you can order to your phone. Like you don't have to move. You can continue watching the movie. We'll bring you the popcorn. Just like um and those little things get the app on for that like one time thing, but to get visitors on it. Um and then hopefully if they enable push notifications, then there would be this whole like campaign of like specials and stuff that maybe restaurants would want to push through, and then that helps the restaurant. It also then helps the app like keep a user on it and whatnot. So
Right. Yep.
yeah.
So, are there many people involved in this project?
And it's just me right now. Yeah,
That's fine. That's how it starts.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've
No.
met Zach. Um, oh God, what's his last name? He was with We Create and he created the Meteries app.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I met a lot of radius people. Um, yeah,
So, but their reach was right to the parking authority to get that.
yeah.
So I'm going to leave you with this other idea as you're gearing this up and starting these conversations as a sole member of, kicking this off, EDVC or downtown partnership, whoever is involved. I think at the end of the day, they're going to still be like, so how much are we thinking, to get this awareness campaign off? So I'm going to show you my marketing thermometer so that you can just start to noodle on how to figure out what that cost is
Okay.
or could be, what budget are we asking for? So this is my gauge your temperature of how aggressive you're trying to be. Um, Up here, you're in the launching a new business zone, and stats show 11 to 20% of your projected revenue should go towards a marketing budget. However, I've
Mm.
also heard people like my friend Brian Slaywin of Ben Franklin Tech Partners. He has even thrown out 50% of projected revenue to kick out a new piece of tech. So goes back to the business goals of how many restaurants do you have to hook in 12 months? What's that
Mm.
projected revenue? So let's call it $50,000. I'm making up numbers. I have no idea what your numbers are. Well, then in theory, we're saying $25,000 goes towards a brand awareness campaign to get consumers to download the app while your one-to-one outreach gets the restaurants to hook on. So
Yeah.
just helps to kind of throw numbers out and the method to look at how to look at numbers to project a marketing budget.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, no, I mean that makes sense. I could see that being necessary. So for
And
sure.
then, but then if we throw back the hook, this is why I come back to the advocacy thing, right? Because if it becomes an advocacy program where a percentage is going back to a cause, now that can open up opportunities for grants and the Erie
Mhm.
Community Foundation to step in. Maybe Erie Arts and Culture. Maybe there's a kickback into an art spin between
Mm.
all of this. There's just nonprofits right now. I'm going to stop sharing again so I can see you better. Nonprofits right now who are so dependent on federal and state funding because of the current climate are shifting towards grants. And so these are going to ramp up, is what I'm hearing. That the forecast to
Mm.
be of grant pools are going to increase because of the decrease of federal and state funding. So that tells me if we can build an awareness campaign, there's going to be funds there that you could go after to help kick this out to make the impact in the community, which then in
Mm.
turn sells your product.
There, yeah. Okay.
So just
That's
something to think
interesting.
about if
Yeah.
you don't have, you know, private investors involved or lucrative funds to throw into this. If you need to solicit for funds to get it off, what are creative ways to find those funds? Because advertising in a B2C space for brand awareness is a pay to play space. And no matter how much negotiating, trade, share, whatever is involved. So if you can pay 50 and get 50, that's going to be a
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. So like I guess I'm self-funded at the moment, while it's my side project and I have my day job that, pays the bills. Um, I mean, not just pays bills. I
sure,
love
sure.
doing it too. Yeah. But at least while I don't have a client, it's I'm just working on it in whatever free time I can. As soon as it's like ready and I can get a restaurant on it and demoing it and whatever, and I actually get like one or two restaurants willing to like at least try it in a limited capacity and very like invite only beta kind of thing, then I'm going to start seeking investment in it and whatnot.
Sure.
um and because most of the development, well, hopefully I mean, development work is never done, but hopefully most of the development work is done there, so that any investment that does come in is almost entirely for marketing and for scale and server costs and stuff like that. So
Yeah. And so when you get there, going back to marketing and goals,
yep.
hey, marketing team, whoever or whatever that is, now that you have the engine going and now it's to drive wealth and more exposure, then setting clear KPIs in that space, right? So
Hmm.
of increased visibility of the site and measure that way, and increase downloads, increase user engagement, increase opt-ins, like setting those clear metrics are going to make your
Hmm.
marketing that much more impactful. And if you start measuring it from the start, you'll be able to then use that for your angel investors or whoever and say, hey, look, on the grassroots side of things, we went from here to here in exposure.
Yep.
And so, man, if you could just give us a couple pennies to help us, we could move it this far.
Yeah. One of the things we did for the original company when I was working for them was I built in this whole referral system. So you get your code that's specific to your user, and then you share that with other people. And if whenever they make their first order, they get the discount from using that code. And then we get to the information of like you referred them. So we'll give you a kickback by referring them. And that creates this like viral sharing kind of thing. You can map out this whole network of like who shared with whom and who was like, your awesome, like viral, like ML, I guess it's multi-level marketing kind of
Sure.
thing without the negative connotation.
Right.
Um,
No, but
but
affiliate marketing is a great way to capitalize on a digital marketing landscape,
yeah,
and maybe even
but
if
just like those promo codes, I learned how much data you can gather from having like
for
what campaign, a promo code in a campaign, and then that promo code results in an order, how effective that campaign is, and taking all that data to somebody and being like, look at how good this is, or that's like the measurement, right? Of like, let's try this campaign, we'll put this promo code with it. This is the result of it. Let's try this other campaign, different promo code compared to the first
correct.
campaign, kind of. Yeah.
And making that accessible. So if your tool has that ability to monitor those codes, make it so easy for the owner to see. Because I've seen so many small business owners here implement codes, but then I'll ask, well, how did that code work? And
Oh
it's
yeah.
very hard for them to see at a glance performance.
Even sorry for interrupting
No,
you.
it's
The Downtown Partnership has downtown gift card that like Gifty or something like it is an awful program like that. It's a third party system that they engage with to get, but like if you get this gift card, if someone gives it to you or if you get a membership on it, you put funds on it, whoever puts funds on it, they like deduct just over time, they siphon money out of this card slowly over time because they don't want to carry the balance forever.
Oh,
So
sure,
they're
there's a tax liability that happens there.
yeah. And so it's like it's just it's a terrible program. Like we could do better, I think. And
I'll circle back to that in a minute
yeah.
because that'll.
But that's kind of the same I think that's in the same line of something that we could offer in the system is having an account balance that you can spend in any one of the participating
Sure.
restaurants and whatnot, and then having cross promotions or just something of like if you make an order over here, we'll give you points that you can spend at a future order over here. Something
Mhm.
that would be kind of interesting, I think.
Yeah, yeah. If you just collect a bank of points of usage to redeem any.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean, wild other things like going back to it wouldn't be a grant so much, but like if a local bank wanted to partner and actually provide the banking infrastructure to uh to do it to actually make that in an account that could earn interest instead of basically
Mhm.
siphon things away, and so then they take the liability of like a funds transfer, storing the actual value and whatnot, and making transactions. If it's all local, then maybe there's a way to avoid credit card fees, and then that's an additional savings we could give to the restaurants.
If you find a
And
payment processor that won't give you fees, tell me.
yeah, well, like the credit union, right? We have the Erie Credit Union, and their software is terrible. I connect them to like restaurants and stuff, and
I
they want
still
to.
think there's the payment
Yeah.
processor in between that they
Um,
bank has to use, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, no, it would be so if my software can interact directly with the banks in some way without going through the payment process, like the like Visa MasterCard network, that is this huge, like gargantuan middleman that takes too many fees.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just like if you're paying with your account balance, then we don't have to go to the payment processor with your credit card. We can go through like the credit union software, and then the fee at least is less than that, or something like that.
Mhm.
Then that's additional saving. Those are funds that stay in the Erie community instead of going out to giant banks and the um leeches that are the giant corporate overlords, whatever.
Right.
So although I guess what Gannon's Gold, GU Gold takes a even bigger fee than credit card processors, so that's not even
Gosh.
it's not even worth it there. So um,
Yeah.
um,
Well, what's a takeaway that you've learned from our chat together?
um the yeah, I guess it's this journey or like the having the goals and the customer journey kind of mapped out, having a very clear focus on that and the personas of um, who those customers are and how to sell to them and how to like get in front of them and what would be their pain and also what is their like what's the carrot too that might get them to try the software,
Even in
download
your
it.
beta test time, right?
Yeah.
So I would challenge you, okay, data man, right? Nerd man, to make a
Yeah.
spreadsheet and three columns. And the first column is the pain that they're having and which has driven your passion to do this project,
Mm.
right? And then the solutions is the third column, and that's all the things that your program solves. This is the outcome. But in the middle, it's the services. I might have said
Mhm.
this a little bit twisted wrong, but it's the pain. Like, so I'm wasting 30% on Grubhub. Over here, I'm gonna save 20%.
Mhm.
And the solution is because of this XYZ part of your program. So then it helps you in, instead of coming out saying, I have XYZ program, and now you're coming off as cold, it's, hey, don't you hate it? The 30%, and wouldn't you love
Yeah.
to get to 10%? So if you can make that juxtaposition and
Mm.
put your service in the middle, now you're going to have a variety of different messages to open that door of conversation.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I'm here for the next 9 weeks. Tuesdays at 1:30. If you have more questions or want to come again, each week I'll have a different tip, different factoid, different thing to plant the seed to get the chat going. And
All right.
I'd be happy to continue to have a conversation about your
Sure.
projects.
Yeah. Likewise. Yeah. This was great. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm
Thank
going
you for
to
doing this
stop
kind of thing.
recording. Hold on.